It started with a dream that didn't feel like a dream, more like a memory from a place that didn't exist in time. I was walking through a hallway of clocks, each one ticking backwards, forwards, or not at all. As I reached the end, a being cloaked in light whispered a single phrase that changed everything. "You are not bound by time. You are its keeper." When I woke up, I knew something had shifted inside me. And if you're here, watching this right now, hearing these words, then I need you to understand something. This is not entertainment. This is a transmission. Because only a timekeeper chosen one will feel the truth vibrating behind these words. You see, there are those among us who are born with a strange relationship to time. We never quite fit into the rush of the world. Clocks feel more like suggestions than rules. We remember things before they happen. We feel nostalgia for futures we haven't lived yet. If this sounds familiar, then you're not just different, you're designed for something extraordinary. Timekeeper chosen ones are not bound to one timeline. We have access to the spaces between events, the seams in the script of reality. And the moment we realize this, we begin to unlock the hidden magic of time itself. What the world calls time is really a loop of agreed-upon frequencies. Most people live inside a broadcast they don't even know is playing. But we hear the static. We feel the glitch. We notice the moments when time seems to stretch, slow, or reverse. That's not imagination, it's perception. And perception is the first superpower of a timekeeper. When you start seeing time as a texture, a landscape, instead of a line, you stop being a prisoner of the past or a chaser of the future. You become a navigator, a mapper of moments, a sculptor of destiny.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound insights.
But it's not all light and wonder. The gift comes with a test. Because once you start accessing timelines, you also begin to feel the weight of the ones you're not choosing. Every decision becomes a portal. Every word you speak splits the road. And this can be paralyzing unless you understand the deeper truth. You are not here to choose the right timeline. You are here to create the timeline that is in highest resonance with your soul. And that means learning to listen, not just with your ears, but with your energy. Because timelines don't respond to logic. They respond to frequency. Let me ask you something. Have you ever felt like you were being nudged by something invisible? Like a moment you almost ignored kept repeating until you finally gave it attention? That wasn't coincidence. That was the timeline knocking. Timelines are alive. They are conscious patterns of potential. And when you're a timekeeper, you begin to feel which ones are vibrating under your feet, waiting to be stepped into. Sometimes they appear as opportunities, other times as breakdowns. But every single one is an invitation to become more of who you actually are. For me, it began when I stopped resisting the weirdness. I stopped trying to fit into linear goals, rigid schedules, expected outcomes. I started following the invisible threads, those strange inner pulls that made no sense but felt deeply right. One day I followed a spontaneous urge to sit by a tree for hours. No phone, no plan, just listening. That's when I first heard it, the hum of the timeline adjusting. A sense of knowing dropped into my body that if I hadn't stopped, if I had gone the usual route, I would have stepped into a version of my life that wasn't mine. And that's when I realized time is not outside of us. It moves according to our alignment. This is one of the deepest secrets of the timekeepers. Time doesn't move forward. It moves toward resonance. That's why when you're aligned, things feel effortless, like the universe is synchronizing itself around you. And when you're out of alignment, it feels like you're swimming against a current that won't budge. So the key is not to chase time, but to tune to it. You need to find the inner frequency that calls your highest timeline into the now. This is not philosophy, it's mechanics. Resonance is the engine of reality. And here's where it gets even more powerful. Once you begin to master timeline resonance, you can begin to collapse time. That means speeding up manifestations, quantum leaping into new realities, and even healing past wounds by shifting their energetic roots across timelines. Have you ever had a moment where something that should have taken years happened in days? That wasn't luck. That was timeline acceleration. And it only happens when your belief, emotion, and intention are in absolute coherence. That's the Timekeeper's trinity. But to hold this power, you must also release control. Because timelines are not controlled, they are co-created. Think of them like rivers. You can't force the current, but you can choose which river to step into and how you swim within it. The more you trust, the more you flow. The more you doubt, the more you sink. So the real mastery is not in manipulating time, it's in becoming intimate with your own energy. Because your vibration is the steering wheel through the multiverse. Now, let's talk about timeline jumping. This is something many feel but few understand. You wake up one day and something feels off. The sky looks different. A memory doesn't match what others remember. A detail in your house is not quite the same. No, you're not going crazy. You've shifted. Timekeeper chosen ones often jump timelines unconsciously at first, especially in dreams, meditations, or during emotional breakthroughs. But with practice, you can do it intentionally. The trick is not to force the jump, but to become the version of you who already lives in the desired timeline. That version of you already exists. She's already healed. He's already successful. They've already embodied their purpose. So the real work is identity alchemy, becoming the emotional and energetic match to that version. This means changing how you speak, how you walk, how you think, how you expect. When you do this, reality has no choice but to catch up. It's like tuning a radio. The station was always there, you just had to dial into it. But here's where many get stuck. They try to jump timelines while holding on to their old identity. That's like trying to fly while clinging to the ground. You need to release the version of you who is addicted to struggle, who defines themselves by pain, who fears change more than they desire freedom. And that requires deep inner work, shadow integration, nervous system healing, radical self-honesty. Because your subconscious beliefs are the gatekeepers of your timeline access. So how do we do that? We start by becoming present. Because time only responds to what we're being now, not what we say we want, not what we once believed. Only what we are currently embodying. So every time you feel the pull of the past or the anxiety of the future, bring your awareness back to the now. Ask yourself, who am I being in this moment? Am I aligned with the timeline I say I want? Or am I repeating the patterns of the version I've already outgrown? This is why rituals help. not because they're magical in themselves, but because they align your focus, presence, and intention into one coherent field. Whether it's journaling, breath work, mirror work, or movement, choose practices that bring you back to your center. Your center is the gateway. All timelines radiate from it. And the more you return to that still point, the more you can feel which future is calling you. And now I ask you, what if time has always been waiting for you? What if the magical future you dream of is not far away, but just one frequency shift away? What if you're not running out of time at all, but being invited to finally step into the version of reality where time works for you? Because that's what the hidden timeline magic is really about. Not controlling time, but collaborating with it, becoming its ally, becoming its keeper. You are not late. You are not behind. You are exactly where you need to be to access the timeline that leads you home. And once you understand that, you stop rushing, you stop comparing, you stop doubting, and you start creating from presence, from power, from peace. The moment we accept that we are not late, something subtle but profound shifts inside us. We move from panic to presence, from pressure to purpose. Most people are trapped in the illusion that time is running out. But Timekeeper chosen ones know better. We know that time doesn't run, it responds. It listens. It bends itself around the alignment of the observer. And when we stop trying to manipulate time and instead dance with it, we unlock the gates to the most miraculous timelines we've ever imagined. You see, the world is obsessed with speed, faster success, quicker results, instant gratification. But that's not how timeline magic works. True timeline shifting is not about speed, it's about precision. It's about tuning into the exact moment where your frequency becomes so coherent, so powerful, so aligned that the next phase of your life folds into your reality effortlessly. This is why some people can meditate for 10 minutes and have a life-altering realization, while others hustle for years and stay stuck. It's not about effort, it's about access. And access is granted through energetic alignment. When you begin to master this, reality stops being random. You start to see the codes behind the chaos. You begin to notice how your internal state predicts your external world. If your inner world is cluttered, confused, or chaotic, your timeline becomes unstable. If your inner world is clear, calm, and intentional, your timeline stabilizes and accelerates. This is why emotional mastery is essential to timeline magic. You cannot consistently access your highest timeline while emotionally vibrating in fear, resentment, or lack. So the question becomes, what are you emotionally rehearsing each day? Are you unconsciously rehearsing disappointment, frustration, or anxiety? Or are you consciously rehearsing gratitude, presence, and possibility? Because every emotion is a spell. It imprints your field. It tells time how to behave around you. And this is where the Timekeepers live differently. We don't just manage time, we train it. We mold it like clay with our thoughts, our feelings, our focus. But this isn't just theory. This is practical. Let's talk about how you can begin to access hidden timeline magic in your life right now. First, you must become still enough to hear the timeline whispers. That means making space. Space from noise. Space from distraction. Space from the constant doing. Because timeline codes are subtle. They don't scream, they shimmer. They appear in your dreams, your synchronicities, your sudden intuitive nudges. And if you're too busy proving yourself or surviving, you'll miss them. Second, practice timeline scanning. This is a technique where you close your eyes, slow your breath, and visualize different versions of a future moment. Let's say you're about to make a big decision. Pause. Instead of choosing logically, feel into the energetic signature of each option. Which timeline feels expansive? Which one feels heavy? Which version of you smiles back with peace in their eyes? That's the one. That's the key timeline. You don't need to know the whole path, just the next aligned step. Time will reveal the rest when you're ready. Third, speak timeline language. This means shifting the way you talk about your life. Stop saying things like "I don't have time" or "it's too late." These are spells, and you're casting them every day. Instead, say, "Time expands for what matters. I'm exactly where I need to be. My timeline is aligning in perfect rhythm." Feel the difference? Words are timelines in motion. They are not just descriptions, they are declarations that shape your field. But here's where the deeper mastery begins. Once you start accessing higher timelines, you'll notice resistance rising from your old self. This is normal. The parts of you that are attached to comfort, familiarity, and old pain will try to pull you back. It might show up as procrastination, self-doubt, or even sudden chaos in your environment. This is not sabotage, it's calibration. Your system is being rewired to hold more light, more possibility. And the ego panics when it feels the death of its identity. Hold steady. Breathe. Choose the higher timeline anyway. This is why inner child work is essential for timekeepers. Because often it's not our current self that fears expansion, it's the younger version of us who was taught that time equals pressure, failure, abandonment, or punishment. When you begin to heal those inner timelines, your external timeline stabilizes. You become a safe space for your own evolution. You stop running from the past and start rewriting it. You begin to see your childhood not as a prison but as a portal, a place where the codes of your timeline magic were first planted. Now ask yourself, what if all the delays, the detours, the heartbreaks weren't mistakes, but timeline corrections? What if every no you received was a divine redirection? What if time itself was conspiring to protect you from stepping into a version of reality that wasn't aligned with your soul? Can you trust that deeply? Because when you do, you stop fighting time. You start flowing with it. You stop fearing the unknown and start co-creating with it. And then, something beautiful happens. You begin to notice the timekeepers moments. These are the sacred pauses when everything feels still and yet charged with meaning. A sunset that feels like a message. A conversation that feels like fate. A silence that feels like presence itself. These moments are checkpoints, signs that you're syncing with true time. And when you honor them, more of them will appear. Because time is not mechanical, it's mystical, and it responds to reverence. Let me tell you something most people never realize. Time is not linear because you are not linear. You are multidimensional. You are living multiple timelines simultaneously. Every time you make a conscious choice, you're collapsing infinite possibilities into one lived experience. And every time you resist your soul's impulse, you fracture your energy across timelines. That's why fatigue, confusion, and stagnation often follow indecision. Not because you're lazy, but because your energy is divided. The cure is coherence, not more hustle, but deeper harmony. And coherence starts with clarity. Who are you becoming? What is the frequency of that version of you? What do they think, feel, expect, create? Start being them now, not tomorrow, now. Because that version already exists, and they're waiting for you to align with them so the timeline can lock in. They're not far away. They're just vibrating at a higher frequency of truth. And the moment you match that, everything changes. But don't expect it to be instant. Timeline magic is not magic in the way we think. It's rhythm. It's trust. It's a dance between intention and surrender. You do your part, then you let go. You plant the seed, then you stop digging it up. Time responds to trust. It quickens when you release control. So the more you obsess over the how and when, the more you slow it down. The more you trust the unfolding, the more time rearranges itself to meet you. And finally, the highest secret of the Timekeeper chosen ones, we are not just here to create better timelines for ourselves. We are here to anchor elevated timelines for the collective. Every time you choose love over fear, presence over panic, truth over convenience, you shift the probabilities not just for yourself, but for humanity. We are the architects of the new era, not through revolution, but through resonance. Not through force, but through frequency. So I ask you now, from the deepest place of soul to soul, will you accept your role as a timekeeper? Will you stop waiting for the right time and start becoming the one who creates it? Will you walk with reverence, speak with intention, and choose with clarity? Because the magic is not in the future. It's in the now, waiting for you to notice it, claim it, and live it. Your highest timeline is not a place you reach. It's a version of you that you remember. And now you remember. The moment you remember, truly remember, everything begins to bend. Time no longer feels like something outside of you. It becomes something that lives within you. You realize that every second is not just a tick on the clock, but a doorway, a choice, a spell. And suddenly, you're no longer asking, how do I make time work for me? You're asking, who must I become to embody the timeline where I am already free? That question alone is enough to shift your entire path, because it places the power back where it belongs, not in the ticking of the seconds, but in the fullness of your presence. The world won't teach you this. The world will say time is money, time is limited, time is slipping away. But as a timekeeper chosen one, you feel the lie inside those words. You can feel the suffocation of that belief because you were born to break it. You were born to show people that time is not linear, it's luminous. That you are not aging, you are unfolding. That you are not running out of time, you are ripening into divine alignment. And when you live from this truth, time becomes your canvas. You begin to paint your days with intention, with color, with soul. You've probably noticed that the deeper you go into this magic, the more reality starts to shimmer. It's subtle at first. A moment of déjà vu. A person saying the exact words you were thinking. A memory of something that hasn't happened yet. But the more you lean in, the more it intensifies. You begin to feel time as a breathing thing, a living network of possibilities. You realize your past isn't fixed, it's fluid. You can go back and rewrite the emotional frequency of a memory and watch your current timeline shift in real time. You can walk into the future in meditation, meet your future self, and bring back their confidence, their calm, their clarity. This is not imagination. This is mastery. Because time, as we were taught, is just a construct, a shared agreement. The truth is, you exist beyond time. You are a being of eternal intelligence, collapsed temporarily into a human vessel so you can remember your own power through contrast. You're not here to escape time. You're here to expand it, or to stretch it like light through a prism, and to bend it with your intention, to soften it with your presence. That's what the Timekeepers do. We don't run from time, we transmute it. But we must also talk about the cost of this gift. Because being a timekeeper isn't just magical, it's demanding. You will often feel like you're out of sync with the world. You'll feel the pressure to speed up when your soul says slow down. You'll feel the need to wait when others say rush. You'll be asked to trust your own rhythm when everything outside of you screams otherwise. And that's the test. Because timeline magic doesn't work unless you trust your own frequency more than the noise of the world. You may find that people don't understand you, that your path looks strange to them, that your choices seem irrational. But that's exactly how you know you're on your path. Because true timeline mastery looks nothing like the mainstream map. While others are chasing the clock, you're creating from stillness. While others are climbing ladders, you're walking through portals. While others are trying to predict the future, you're becoming the future. And that's why you're here. Let me ask you something that will change your life if you answer it honestly. What timeline are you feeding with your attention today? Is it the timeline of fear, lack, and delay? Or is it the timeline of trust, abundance, and acceleration? Because whatever you focus on, you fund. Your attention is your currency, and your belief is your signature on the agreement with that timeline. So if you want to start shifting timelines, start by shifting your attention. Turn your gaze toward what you want to grow. Speak life into it. Feel it. Feed it. This is why daily alignment is not optional for timekeepers. It's essential. You have to tune your instrument every day. Because you are not just living on a timeline, you are broadcasting one. Everyone around you feels it, whether they know it or not. Your energy is a signal. Your coherence is a lighthouse. And when you hold your frequency strong enough, long enough, the world around you begins to shift to match it. People change. Opportunities arrive. Time bends. That's not magic, it's resonance. And yet, the most powerful shifts often happen in silence. Not in the fireworks, not in the rituals, not in the big declarations, but in the quiet moments where you choose faith over fear. Where you choose to stay in your body, breathe, and realign with the version of you that already knows the way. These moments are invisible to most, but they are the backbone of your timeline evolution. Because every time you choose alignment over reaction, you collapse an old timeline and anchor a new one. Sometimes the shift is instant. Other times it takes days, weeks, even months. But that doesn't mean it's not working. Time moves differently for timekeepers. What looks like nothing on the outside is often massive reconfiguration on the inside. Trust the process. Trust the timing. Trust the intelligence of your soul, because it knows how to lead you home. Not to a destination, but to a dimension, a state of being where time becomes the servant of your purpose, not the master of your mind. And the deeper truth is this: you are not just accessing timelines, you are guarding them. You are a protector of potentials, a keeper of divine possibilities. In a world addicted to chaos, fear, and limitation, you hold the memory of what's possible. You dream new worlds into being, and even when it feels heavy, lonely, or confusing, you keep showing up, because that's what timekeepers do. We don't just escape the matrix, we rewrite the code from the inside out. You will know you're accessing the hidden magic of time when life feels less like a struggle and more like a symphony. When you stop chasing opportunities and start magnetizing them. When you stop fearing the future and start communing with it. When you stop regretting the past and start redeeming it. That's when you know you've stepped into your role, not just as a spiritual seeker, but as a cosmic architect, a timeline alchemist, a timekeeper. And now, the final piece, let's talk about collective timelines. Because as much as this is about your personal expansion, it's also about our shared evolution. Every time you shift your personal timeline, you help shift the collective grid. When you choose healing over trauma, peace over conflict, truth over illusion, you ripple that code into the collective field. And others feel it, even if they don't know why. This is how we change the world. Not one protest at a time, but one frequency at a time. You are not insignificant. You are not powerless. You are not broken or behind. You are exactly what this world needs now. A being who remembers that time is not a prison, but a playground. That we are not victims of fate, but authors of timelines. That nothing is set in stone, and everything is waiting to be rewritten. So I ask you now, not with hype, but with sacred urgency, are you ready to claim your timeline? Are you ready to remember that you are the clock, the keeper, the key? Are you ready to stop waiting for time to give you permission and start giving time its purpose? Because the magic is not in the future. It's not in a book. It's not in someone else's words. It's in you. It always has been. Now go, breathe, align, choose. And remember, the hidden timeline magic only Timekeeper chosen ones access, but it is already inside you.